Max Verstappen just dropped 8 words that sent shockwaves through the Formula One paddock. I'm also staying with the team for next year. But here's what makes this revelation absolutely explosive. The timing, the context, and what almost happened behind closed doors at Mercedes will change how you see the entire 2025 season. Because according to sources close to the negotiations, we were closer to the biggest driver swap in F1 history than anyone realized. Let's rewind to understand just how massive this story really is. For months, the F1 world has been consumed by one question: where will Max Verstappen drive in 2026? The speculation reached fever pitch when Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff openly admitted he was having conversations with the 4-time world champion. Think about that. The boss of Mercedes publicly confirming talks with Red Bull's star driver. But it wasn't just talk. According to reports leading up to the Hungarian Grand Prix, these weren't casual conversations over coffee. Wolff was serious enough about landing Verstappen that he was willing to reshape his entire driver lineup. We're talking about potentially moving aside either George Russell or their new golden boy Kimi Antonelli, 2 drivers they've invested millions in developing. The paddock was buzzing. Every journalist, every team principal, every mechanic was watching for signs. Would the greatest driver of his generation actually leave the team that made him a 4-time champion? The drama was so intense that reporters were literally tracking yacht movements, hoping to catch Verstappen and Wolff in secret negotiations. Now, here's where the story takes its first twist. Just weeks before Verstappen's bombshell announcement, Toto Wolff seemed to pump the brakes. In Belgium, he made a statement that caught everyone off guard. He would actually prefer to retain his current lineup of Kimi Antonelli and George Russell. On the surface, this looked like Mercedes backing down. Maybe the negotiations fell through, maybe Verstappen was asking for too much money, maybe Red Bull made him an offer he couldn't refuse. The F1 media started writing the obituary for the Verstappen to Mercedes dream, but that's not the full story. Because what Wolff said next was crucial. He fell short of any official confirmation. Those words matter in Formula One. When team principals speak in careful, measured language like that, it usually means there's more happening behind the scenes than they're willing to admit. Here's what makes Verstappen's announcement in Budapest so significant, and why the timing tells us everything about what really happened. When asked about those yacht rumors, whether he and Toto would be spending their summer breaks plotting together, Verstappen didn't just dismiss them, he went on the attack. The thing is, people are waffling so much throughout the whole season while the only one that actually can or should speak is not speaking, he said. That's me, and I do that on purpose because it makes no sense to start throwing things around. But here's the revelation that changes everything. Verstappen then said something that confirms he was never really leaving. I'm discussing with the team already the plans, the things that we want to change for next year. So that means I'm also staying with the team for next year. The data tells a different story than what we've been led to believe. This wasn't a last-minute decision. This wasn't Red Bull convincing him to stay with a massive contract extension. Verstappen has been planning 2025 with Red Bull all along. The Mercedes talks, they were real. But Verstappen was never seriously considering jumping ship. Think about what this means. While Toto Wolff was publicly courting Verstappen, potentially disrupting his own team's harmony and planning, Max was already deep in technical discussions with Red Bull about next year's car development. The evidence points to something fascinating. Verstappen may have been using the Mercedes interest as leverage, not as a genuine alternative. The implications of this revelation ripple through the entire Formula One landscape. First, let's talk about what this means for Mercedes. Toto Wolff just spent months publicly pursuing a driver who was never really available. That's not just embarrassing, it's strategically damaging. According to the pattern we're seeing, Mercedes now has to fully commit to their Kimi Antonelli project. The 18-year-old Italian is talented, but he's unproven at the highest level. They've essentially put all their eggs in the Antonelli basket because their plan A, Max Verstappen, was never really a plan at all. For Red Bull, this confirmation couldn't come at a better time. They're entering the 2026 regulation changes with their star driver locked in. But here's what makes this even more significant. Red Bull just made a massive leadership change, replacing Christian Horner with Laurent Mekies right before the Belgium Grand Prix. Listen to how Verstappen talks about Mekies. He's very friendly, he's very open, very motivated, very driven. That's of course what you want to see from a boss, and I like it. It's a nice atmosphere that he is creating, and I'm very excited for the future, what we can do together. The timing is telling. New team principal, renewed commitment from their champion driver, and a clean slate heading into the biggest regulation change in F1 history. This isn't just about 2025. Red Bull is positioning themselves to dominate the next era of Formula One. But there's another layer to consider. Verstappen's decision to stay puts enormous pressure on every other top team. Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, they all know that the benchmark driver, the guy who's won 4 championships in a row, believes Red Bull is still the place to be. That's a powerful endorsement of Red Bull's technical capabilities and future prospects. This announcement raises as many questions as it answers, and that's what makes the rest of this season absolutely crucial to watch. First, what does Mercedes do now? They've publicly courted Verstappen and come up empty. Do they double down on their current lineup, or do they make a play for another established champion? Here's what the evidence suggests we should watch for. Red Bull's performance trajectory under Laurent Mekies. Verstappen praised the new team principal, but can Mekies actually deliver the improvements that will keep Red Bull competitive through the regulation changes? The next few races will be telling. And there's a bigger question lurking beneath all of this. Was Verstappen's flirtation with Mercedes a strategic move to ensure Red Bull stays committed to winning? By letting the Mercedes rumors swirl, by not shutting them down immediately, did he force Red Bull to prove they deserve him? The most revealing part comes when you look at Verstappen's language. He said, "I think it's time to basically stop all the rumors." Not, "I was never leaving," or "I was always staying." He chose to stop the rumors now at this specific moment, right before the summer break and right after Red Bull's leadership transition. What to watch for in the coming races, how Red Bull performs under their new leadership structure, whether Mercedes can bounce back from this very public rejection, and most importantly, whether Verstappen's confidence in Red Bull's future proves justified when the 2026 regulations hit. Because here's the thing, in Formula One, loyalty is earned in tenths of a second, not in contract negotiations. Verstappen has bet his prime years on Red Bull continuing to build championship-winning cars. The next 2 seasons will prove whether that bet pays off, or whether he'll be kicking himself for not taking that Mercedes seat when he had the chance. Let us know your verdicts in the comments below.